Welcome to 2024. Welcome to a new year and to new opportunities. A new opportunity to right the wrongs following you from last year. A new opportunity to reach out to a lost friend. A new opportunity to patch a damaged relationship with an estranged family member. A new opportunity to offer to help someone you never thought you would. A new opportunity to hug your parent or child for no apparent reason. A new opportunity to smile and say hi to a perfect stranger passing by while walking your dog. Maria will light her chalice here in the sanctuary. And those of you at home, you're invited to light your own chalice now. When we light the chalice in worship, we illuminate a world that we feel called upon to serve with love and a sense of justice, the light of reason, the warmth of community, and the flame of hope. That was Susan Ritchie. Hi. Before we sing the first hymn, let me remind our remote participants to leave yourselves muted. However, we want you and whoever's with you to sing as loud and big as you like and make it a joyous experience. So please stand in body or spirit and sing the opening hymn, We the Heirs of Many Ages, number 102. Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist community of Cambria. We are glad you have joined us today. Our UUCC sanctuary sits on land that the Salinan and Chumash indigenous peoples historically inhabited. We honor their contributions to this region and give thanks for the opportunity to gather in faith on their unceded territory. Let us respect their legacy and protect their history as we occupy this sacred space. As Unitarian Universalists, we celebrate religious diversity and welcome all who journey in search of faith and spirituality. The UUCC is a lay-led congregation run by the democratic process. We invite speakers from different religious traditions and spiritual or scientific backgrounds to speak at our pulpit. We encourage presentations covering a variety of topics and areas of interest that connect with the UU7 principles. Today's service centers around the second principle. We affirm and promote justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. My name is Randy Schwalbe, and I am your worship associate this morning. Hello. And I would like to extend a special welcome to today's guests and visitors. Do we have any? Oh, maybe not. Okay, but we're still glad that you've all joined us this morning. And if you wish, they were not here, so we don't have to wish anything. If you are not on the mailing list, Please visit the UUCC website at uuccambria.org so that we can keep you informed about all of our activities. Members and friends, please check out what's happening, the e-blast sent to you every week. This is a great way to keep up to date with our latest news. And if you wish to see this or any of the past Zoom services, the recordings can be found on the UUCC website and on Facebook. So again, good morning and welcome to everyone. The affirmation is both a recognition of the nature of this community as well as a promise to which we aspire. Let us now sing the affirmation.
Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in freedom, and to help, and to help, and to help one another.
We set aside this time for any special announcements that would be of interest to our UU community members and friends. Please keep your items short and to the point. If something needs more explanation, contact the person after the service. If you'd like to make an announcement, please raise your hand. When Andy or I call your name, please step up to the podium or unmute yourself, then speak. Dolores.
Women's group tomorrow at 2 o'clock on Zoom. If you haven't been invited for the usual ones, then and if I forgot to send you a link, notify me. Okay, thank you. Women's group.
Okay, Andy?
I've got a couple.
Okay.
Good morning. Two things. One is the men's group will be meeting tomorrow here at the sanctuary at 10 a.m. and I'll send out a Zoom link as well. Second one is that during the general meeting last month, we discussed reviving the Religious Education Committee, and there are several good ideas floating around there, but I need a little help organizing it. So if anyone's interested in organizing and attending some RE sessions here at the sanctuary, please see me after the service. Thanks.
All right, are there any remote announcements?
I don't see anyone online. Randy, back to you.
Okay, thank you. Next week, Michelle Royst will present National Marine Sanctuaries, America's Underwater Treasures. We take this time to celebrate all those who are having a birthday this month. Yay! Birthdays are special, a day when we celebrate your entry into the world and honor your existence. If you have a birthday this month, please raise your hand. When Andy or I call on you, please reveal your special date. Yeah, Diane, oh, you already had one. Wow. Happy belated birthday. Diane was on second. Yes. 17, wow. Okay.
11.
Okay, and
19.
wow, 4 birthdays in this one, right here in the sanctuary. That's a record. Well, happy birthday to all of you this month. And this birthday candle honors also our friends and family members who are celebrating birthdays this month as well. Okay, it says here, volunteer takes. Volunteer removes the candle. Okay, that's exciting. All right, sharing together some of our personal and significant joys and concerns brings us closer as a faith community. We invite you to share milestones that are deeply felt as part of your personal life. Express a gratitude or perhaps even offer an acknowledgement. But please be mindful and considerate to all who come to worship with us this morning. The collective flames of these candles embody all the joys and concerns which may have gone unspoken today, but are also deeply felt in this community. The first reading is an excerpt from a book titled A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle, a renowned spiritual leader and self-help author. The Zen master Hakin lived in a town in Japan. He was held in high regard, and many people came to him for spiritual teaching. Then it happened that the teenage daughter of his next-door neighbor became pregnant. When being questioned by her angry and scolding parents as to the identity of the father, she finally told them that he was Hakin, the Zen master. In great anger, the parents rushed over to Hakin and told him with much shouting and accusing that their daughter had confessed that he was the father. All he replied was, "Is that so?" News of the scandal spread throughout the town and beyond. The master lost his reputation. This did not trouble him. Nobody came to see him anymore. He remained unmoved. When the child was born, the parents brought the baby to Hakin. "You are the father, so you look after him." The master took loving care of the child. A year later, the mother remorsefully confessed to her parents that the real father of the child was the young man who worked at the butcher shop. In great distress, they went to see Hakin to apologize and ask for forgiveness. "We are really sorry. We have come to take the baby back. Our daughter confessed that you are not the father." "Is that so?" is all he would say as he handed the baby over to them. The master responds to falsehood and truth, bad news and good news, in exactly the same way. Is that so? He allows the form of the moment, good or bad, to be as it is, and so does not become a participant in human drama. To him, there's only this moment, and this moment is as it is. Events are not personalized. He is nobody's victim. He is so completely at one with what happens that what happens has no power over him anymore. Only if you resist what happens are you at the mercy of what happens. And the world, not you, will determine your happiness and unhappiness. The baby is looked after with loving care. Bad turns into good through the power of non-resistance, always responding to what the present moment requires. He lets go of the baby when it is time to do so. Now imagine briefly how the ego would have reacted during the various stages of the unfolding of these events. Let us join in a time of meditation, of prayer, and of silence, and let us seek the quiet and the calm, laying aside our struggles. And in the silence, may there be a reverie in our hearts, a thankfulness within our spirit, and a deepened understanding of the meaning of our lives. Let us enter into the stillness. Quiet your active mind. Soothe your troubled heart. Connect with your incorporeal soul. Ignite your dormant spirit. Reach beyond your essence to find your inner peace. The second reading is an excerpt from a book titled Full Catastrophe Living by John Kabat-Zinn, founder of the mindfulness-based stress reduction program at the University of Massachusetts Medical Center. All of us have the capacity to be mindful. All it involves is cultivating our ability to pay attention in the present moment as we suspend our judging, or at least as we become aware of how much judging is usually going on within us. Cultivating mindfulness plays a central role in the changes that the people who come to the stress reduction clinic experience. One way to think of this process of transformation is to think of mindfulness as a lens, taking the scattered and reactive energies of your mind and focusing them into a coherent source of energy for living, for problem solving, and for healing. We routinely and unknowingly waste enormous amounts of energy in reacting automatically and unconsciously to the outside world and to our own inner experiences. Cultivating mindfulness means learning to tap into and focus our own wasted energies. In doing so, we learn to calm down, we learn to calm down enough to enter and dwell in extended moments of deep well-being and relaxation, of feeling whole and wholly integrated as a person. This tasting and inhabiting of one's own wholeness nourishes and restores both the body and the mind. Cultivating mindfulness can lead to the discovery of deep realms of well-being, calmness, clarity, and insight within yourself. It is as if you were to come upon a new territory, previously unknown to you and only vaguely suspected, which contains a veritable wellspring of positive energy for self-understanding and healing. Moreover, it is easy to familiarize yourself with a territory and learn to inhabit it more frequently. The path to it in any moment lies no further than your own body and mind and your own breathing. This domain of pure being, of wakefulness, is always accessible to you. It is always here, independent of your problems. Whatever you're facing, whether you're facing heart disease or cancer or pain or just a very stressful life, its energies can be of great value to you. Please stand in body or spirit and sing, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire, number 34. Today's talk is titled Practicing Presence, Bringing Mindfulness into Everyday Life, to be delivered by Margo Biggs. Margo's journey began in the Deep South, where her early years were spent exploring the natural beauty of North Florida. At 19, an exciting opportunity arose in the fashion industry, leading her to leave her southern roots for New York City. This opened doors to a world of travel and exposure to the rich art scenes of New York City, Chicago, and Europe. In Chicago, she embraced a new phase of personal growth. She married and started a family. In the mid-'80s, she discovered yoga and meditation, practices that she continues to this day. However, life took a sharp turn for Margo in 2009, causing her to return to her hometown with her youngest son. Despite the challenges, she found a silver lining by pursuing her lifelong dream, painting. Dedication paid off as she gained recognition, winning awards, and securing solo shows. During this time, she also cared for her aging parents, a commitment that lasted over 6 years. This period was followed by a joyful chapter, her marriage to Jordan. Together, they decided to move to California, seeking a fresh start closer to their children. After a life marked by frequent relocations, Margo is now settled here in Cambria. She is passionately dedicating herself to her art career, drawing from her rich experiences and building a beautiful life. Margo.
Good morning, everybody. During this difficult time in history, with authoritarianism on the rise, gun violence, terrorism, war, intolerance, and anger the norm, may I make a suggestion? Take a journey inward. This journey will take you to a place to heighten awareness of yourself, of others, and of the world around you. It will bring you greater inner peace, tolerance, and understanding of yourself and of others. Initially, this will be a journey of curiosity and contemplation. With persistence, the journey will lead you from your head to your heart. Then the more your mind is centered on your heart center, the more you will find your heart is a haven. So where do we begin this journey? We begin by opening our minds to two possibilities. We are not our thoughts, and we are not our emotions. This idea was introduced to me many years ago, though it wasn't until about 10 years ago that I was able to truly grasp it. At that point, I had been a practitioner of meditation for close to 30 years. My method was simply to focus on my breath. This practice pulled me through decades of loneliness and hardship. Through great challenges, I persevered, largely due to my daily practice of meditation, which helped me stay calm as I raised my two sons alone, far from family and friends. By 2009, divorced and bankrupt, without so much as a car or a home, I moved back to Pensacola, where the living conditions would be much more favorable than the Chicago area for my youngest son and for me. We moved into a 2-bedroom townhome with plastic kitchen cabinetry and an old pink shag carpet. The older of my two sons was by then attending college in California. In the fall of 2012, I was asked to move into an apartment above my parents in the old family home on the Bay. My mother had been diagnosed with dementia, and my father's physical ailments were many, though his mind was quite clear. I was to look after them, make them dinner each night, and take them to their numerous doctor's appointments. By the spring of 2013, my mother's dementia had taken a strong hold, and my father's misdiagnosed back pain left him more and more debilitated by the day. He was in so much pain. This man who never complained and had the sunniest of dispositions was clearly miserable. The spinal injections and back operation from the year before left him in far worse shape, and the doctors didn't know what was wrong. During this time, my mother would venture in and out of clarity until two completely distinct personalities were all that was left of this talented, intelligent woman. She was either pleasant and confused or absolutely enraged. 2013 was a brutal year. By the end of the year, a chiropractor correctly diagnosed my father as being in need of a hip replacement. The operation was a success, and by January of 2014, he was his old self again. Yet my mother's mind continued to deteriorate, and she was smart enough during her periods of clarity to know it. By 5 o'clock every evening, the sundowners effect would take hold, and for whatever reason, she would become enraged with either my father or me. Though by then we had hired help 5 mornings a week, there was no one else willing to periodically relieve us. Sharon had been my parents' housekeeper for years. She'd come over 1 morning a week to clean, and Mom really liked her. So we slowly expanded her mornings to 5, just to care for my mother. She would occupy her with gardening, where she was always very happy digging in the dirt, as my mother would often say. We tried to hire someone from a caretaker service to help in the afternoons, but my mother, in moments of clarity, would catch on and get so angry with my father that he would literally start trembling until he finally decided it was not worth trying to get yet another caretaker that would fit our needs. So for many months, from 1 o'clock in the afternoon until she went to sleep, it was just Dad, my son Matthew, my crazy mother, and me. In April of 2014, my oldest son, having graduated from college, returned from a backpacking trip in Europe and India. His intention was to stay for us for 2 months, yet when he saw the chaos we were living in, he chose to stay much longer. I'll never forget him standing next to me at the kitchen sink. I had developed a habit of breathing very deeply and slowly in order to stay calm. Living with a father who was very hard of hearing, a son who was busy being a teenager, and a crazy mother, I didn't realize that this deep breathing was audible to anyone other than me. It is a forced, focused, yogic breathing, which had served me very well for many years. William then suggested that I let that method of self-calming go. He suggested I try residing in the awareness of the moment, to let my breathing just be as it is naturally, and to attempt to get in touch with that part of me that is not my thoughts and is not my emotions. What he was suggesting was a practice of deep mindfulness, moment by moment. The stress I was living under was enormous. This I had pushed out of my mind in order to give my son and my parents the care they needed. Yet I was completely broke. I had no college degree, no career, no potential partner, and no significant inheritance to depend upon. To my surprise, I caught on very quickly. Initially, I disidentified myself from my thoughts by visualizing them as a movie on a screen. With this technique, I was able to find a part of myself who was a witness to my thoughts, and by extension to my emotions as well. I did not bother to contemplate who this entity within myself was. I just simply kept putting it into practice. This resulted in a deepening of my level of awareness and who I was behind my thoughts and my emotions. Immediately, the benefits revealed themselves to me. My awareness of the world around me increased tremendously. My senses seemed to be heightened. I noticed more beauty around me. My thoughts were largely limited to what was happening in the moment alone. So the anxiety and the worry, the stress of my day-to-day life diminished. My thoughts were clearer. My understanding, acceptance, and compassion for others increased. My fears and judgments my victim mentality and concern what the future would hold for me once my parents had passed, all these thoughts and emotions would still arise. Yet I was able to detach myself from them. I'd observe these thoughts and emotions, and I'd let them pass as though they were simply clouds floating across the sky. Through detaching my true self from my thoughts and my emotions, I had found inner peace. I learned to reside in beingness. With greater observation and mental clarity, I was more accommodating and available to my parents and my sons. I became more present, and I listened more intently. Instead of avoiding my mother, I became aware of her fear. My compassion for her grew, and I found myself approaching her without the anxiety arising within myself that she would become enraged. This is going to happen. I took the risk, and I found myself touching her more often. Hugs were not freely given in my family, and it was even less frequent with my mother's late-stage dementia and the everyday anger that came with it. The real validation that I was on the right track came one day when she asked me to help her fasten her bra. I'm sorry, y'all. It's freaking been 10 years. This year, it's been 10 years, 9 years. Anyway, sorry. Thank you. Slowly and carefully, I fastened each hook and I straightened her straps. And then I laid my palm gently on her upper back, below her shoulder for a moment, and I left it there. Her entire body seemed to breathe a sigh of relief, and she visibly relaxed. A gentle touch. It worked wonders on her nerves. It was so simple. Over the coming months, before we finally put her in a home, we were able to find a way to keep her calm most of the time. Yes, she would arrive at dinner sometimes in her thin white nightgown with nothing underneath. She once tried to go outside in nothing more than a Pacific sarong. She'd put her damp gardening shoes in a heated oven to dry and forget about them. One afternoon, I found an open box of frozen steaks on the stove. The steaks still sealed in plastic, with the bottom of the cardboard box burned black in the shape of the electric burner. She'd regularly lock my son out of the house by fastening the chain lock on the door to the garden basement where his bedroom was. He'd have to go outside to get to the main floor, sometimes in the pouring rain. Yet, amidst all this chaos, the four of us had found real joy in caring for my mother. It was just 2 out of the 4 people who lived with her who worked at separating out our useless thoughts and unhealthy emotions from the present moment. Yet in doing so, we were able to be at peace and stay calm, which spread to my father and to my younger son. Of course, we still used our minds and did plenty of thinking, but our minds were being used intentionally. We were practicing mindfulness. The useless clatter faded away, or chatter. The unnecessary emotional drama did not exist. In between the useful thoughts, there was stillness. It was a very difficult period of our lives, full of great beauty and deep love, and a whole lot of disappointment and pain. Yet, in disconnecting from our thoughts and emotions, we had found a haven within our own hearts. This was not something my father or teenage son were interested in, yet William and I were the ones really running the house. My father was very hard of hearing and had severe neuropathy in his legs, among other things. And my mother was enough for him to deal with beyond the difficulty he had of simply walking or even getting dressed. But this practice of presence, of residing in our heart center, had a ripple effect. Yes, my mother still had nasty episodes most every day, but they were less severe. And we had found a way to dine together each night peacefully, with laughter and with love. The 5 months before we put my mother into a home are some of my fondest memories, especially the evenings around the dinner table with my parents and my sons, keeping the conversation simple so as not to confuse and agitate my mother. My father reciting poetry and telling jokes, my sons laughing. In the early stages of residing in this heart haven, most of us will be pulled away quite often. I still am. It's easier when life is running smoothly and when we're in a beautiful, quiet place. But during challenging times, it is so useful. We can avoid so much stress, anger, and sadness by learning to disidentify with our thoughts and our emotions, by learning to live in the present moment and be mindful. There are many techniques we can use. One can simply pause and focus solely on one's breath for several minutes. Or we can intentionally use our senses to really take in with our eyes all the colors and forms around us. What can we hear at this moment when we really listen? How many sounds? What might we smell or feel? The pine forest? Exhaust from a car? Do we feel a breeze? Or perhaps a soft fabric against our skin? Another technique I've used, particularly when I find myself in difficult situations, is simply to ask myself, where's the beauty in this moment? It can easily be found in the miracle of our human bodies, in the color of the sky, or the sound of the waves, in the love I have for my sons, in the smile of a child, or of you. You're great right there in the middle. I remember watching myself years ago as I became irritated by a poor driver. I began to observe my thoughts and I said to myself, why are you so bothered by someone you have no control over? Why upset your peace of mind? So I started to develop the attitude to let them be. This later extended to the betrayal of false friends, to my brothers who rarely came by to see our father, to people I knew well who spread nasty rumors. I encourage you to find out for yourself. Let them be. It takes practice all the time, every day. Yet, just as with repetition and practice, a musician will master his instrument by first practicing his scales and playing simple compositions, so too can we start simply. In finding your heart haven, you will find inner peace. Take the journey inward and explore the possibility that you are not your thoughts and you're not your emotions. Still, alert presence, moment by moment mindfulness. To quote Eckhart Tolle, the joy of being is the joy of being conscious. To realize being, we need to step out of thinking. I invite you to realize this dimension of consciousness within you. Thank you.
Thank you, Margo. Wow. The morning offering will now be given and received. Please remember, we are a self-sustaining congregation and provide all financial resources for many ministries. We recognize the spiritual value of generosity and invite you to participate. And if you are viewing this service remotely, please use one of the methods shown on the screen. Thank you. Thank you, Jan. And our thanks for all the gifts given and received for the work of this community. Please stand in body or spirit and sing the closing hymn, Let There Be Light, number 142.
Let there be light, let there be understanding, let all the nations gather, let them be face to face. Open our lips, open our minds to ponder, open the door of concord, opening into grace. Perish the sword, perish the angry judgment, perish the wrongs unconquered, perish the fight for gain. Let there be light, open our hearts to wonder, perish the way of terror, follow the world God made.
As we prepare to extinguish the chalice, let us recite the valediction. We extinguish this flame, but we keep its light in our hearts, with its message of love and justice, taking it outside these walls to the world we live in. And please extinguish your chalices at home. Now let's form a circle and join hands. Margo.
I do this now?
Yes.
Okay. This is a poem entitled A Consciousness. And it refers to that slide up there. What day is it? Asked Pooh. It's today, squeaked Piglet. My favorite day, said Pooh. A consciousness. One is either in love or not. Today, I fell in love again. Watching the sunrise, taking in the play of shadow and light on my windowsill. Sitting on the roof, gazing through the trees. Cleaning house, folding clothes, cooking and computer work. Caring for those that I love. It is just another Sunday, and I fell in love again.